real love 'em and leave 'em kind of guy. She took a deep breath. What kind of flowers? His gaze lifted to meet hers, and she found herself drawn to the golden flecks in the hazel depths. He had lashes that were too long to be decent for any self-respecting man, which made his eyes quite pretty. Pretty enough for him to get away with just about anything in this town, she reminded herself with disgust. Except with her. She knew exactly what kind of guy Cooper was. He'd definitely shown his true colors the day he'd betrayed their friendship. "I don't know," he confessed with a sheepish grin. "Something big. Something that says I'm really, really sorry." Acid soured her stomach. Ugh. Apology flowers. And she could just imagine what the combo of Coop and a big bouquet would do to some silly doe-eyed girl who didn't know any better. "Who'd you do wrong now, Coop?" The words were out before she could think better of them, and she couldn't take them back. His gaze sharpened, but he merely raised one eyebrow. It made her feel small, as she always did when she was reminded of what a fool she'd been 3 years ago. Walking in on her husband, Scott, and his girlfriend had been the most humiliating moment of her life. It had made her one big cliché. She'd thought it couldn't get any worse, but then she'd discovered that Coop had known all along. He'd been aware that her husband, his best buddy, was having an affair, and he hadn't said a single, blessed word to her about it. No heads up, nothing. The joke had been totally on her, and she'd never forgotten it. Even now, as she took the steps to truly move on, alone, his betrayal stung. There was sticking by your friend, and there was doing what was right. Cooper didn't choose right. "I missed my mother's birthday," he replied, putting his weight on one hip and hooking a thumb in his jeans pocket. "I was out of town all week, but it was her 60th, and so now I'm trying to make it up to her." Once more, Melissa felt foolish. She didn't like Cooper. Actually, the truth was more that she didn't trust him. She didn't respect him. She should just let it go, like water off a duck's back, as the old saying went. She definitely should not let him get to her, especially after all this time. "Oh," she answered. "Then I'm sure I can help. Do you want it in a vase or paper?" "Paper," he answered. "She's got a million vases around the house and no roses. They're too formal and old-ladyish. Something mixed." Melissa tended to agree. Not that roses weren't great, and they were definitely a classic, elegant and timeless, but she secretly preferred something simpler, more wildflowerish and whimsical. "Colors?" "Yellows. Maybe with some red and blue in it. Colorful and, well, large. It's a big apology." He smiled down at Melissa, and she nearly smiled back before catching herself. "Give me 15 minutes or so," she replied, jotting the order on her notepad. "You can come back and pick it up, yeah?" He nodded. "It'll give me time to go to the pharmacy and get a nice card." "Gee, nothing says happy birthday, Mom, like a last-minute card," she replied dryly. He didn't answer. "Okay," she said, putting down her pen. 15 minutes. "Thanks, Mel," he said, putting his hat back on his head. Mel. No one had called her that in ages. Certainly not Cooper, who she avoided as often as possible, which took some creativity in a town the size of Cadence Creek. Thankfully, he felt the same way, and even if they ended up at the same functions, they steered well clear of each other. Opposite ends of the room sort of thing. Definitely no eye contact or chit-chat.